member of our briefing. Now the topic: reforms with the new parliament. What changes political parties claim in their electoral programs? The representatives of the Ukrainian School of Economics, Case Ukraine, they presented their political parties' platforms, and they are prepared to share with you analysis of electoral programs by 13 leading Ukrainian and international economic experts. We are talking about Dmytro, Case Ukraine director, VoxUkraine, and Ilona, Sologub, Kyiv School of Economics, VoxUkraine. Good morning, dear colleagues. I would like to specify who we are and what we are. We are on the, let's say, public initiative VoxUkraine. What is it like? We are experts, economists, and people are working everywhere. I'm the executive director of the Case Ukraine. Ilona, for example, works in the Ukrainian School of Economics, and many other economic experts dealing with some different issues, but we actually united ourselves around the public initiative, which is not of profit, but to share, to acquire some knowledge and provide the adequate and objective assessment of Ukraine policy, not to be prepared by some kind of, let's say, the government organization. We are volunteers and try to help implement economic reforms. Recently, we carried out some kind of efforts which attracted a lot of attention, and everybody is interested what this or not political party proposes on the elections. We actually focus our attention of some grounded programs. We can say that we have some kind of certain disappointment because some of the platforms are several pages with the general some kind of promises. We cannot even talk about some kind of grounded programs. There is some declaration of intentions where often, well, somebody actually announces or gives very graphic examples based on which economists would like you actually try to dig into those and try to explain what is what and why is that. So the political leaders try not to be in the focus of too much attention, not to, let's say, to be hit by some criticism. Sometimes we cannot see any kind of open or whatever platform. Whatever was, we would not like to share something which is you heard from Dmytro Boyarchuk or some other experts. We try to rank all the platforms programs according to adequacy, whether it's achievable or not, where we are talking about the decrease of some kind of percentage in the beginning of the program, and then the end of that, they're talking about the protection of those people who obtained some loans. Those can be compared, between themselves. We had 13 economic experts who actually proved themselves to be real top-notch experts, and we analyzed the programs, and the result of that was certain ranking. Some organizations, certain initiatives said that the such and such party has the best program. No, this is not the case. We rank those all the programs using this scale in the range of between 0 and 10, and not a single party actually scored the maximum points. And somebody, of course, is ranked first, second, or third, but we can talk that the quality of the programs proposed, we cannot see some radical or wonderful changes or transformations. We cannot, unfortunately, talk about that so far. What can I say generally about those programs? Everybody pays attention to anti-corruption efforts, illustration that we have to fight oligarchs and we have to defend the country. In all this is vague. If you're talking about the housing or housing problems, nobody talks about that. This is the reflection of what is the most urgent topic for the people. I believe that Ilona analyzed more detailed analysis provided to those problems, so I give the floor to her.
Next slide, please. So, the topics that are most mentioned: decentralization of the government, the political parties, all of them, state that there will be liquidation of regional state administrations, deregulation. Nobody explains details, but the number of licenses, permissions are announced to be cut down. Re-equipment of the military is very important topic on today, and maybe parties believe that this would be some kind of industrial development, but they believe that internal production will help refit our military. Social protection for servicemen, military servicemen, and the participants of anti-terrorist operation, and education and medicine are mentioned at the end without any specifics. We'll do something to improve. That's as specific as it gets. The topics that are going in to detail: state governance, improvement, lustration, canceling state administrations, cutting down the number of public officials, and one-stop shop, as well as e-governance. The most attention is given to fight corruption, but no specific proposals, or very few of those proposals, like creating anti-corruption bureau, declaration not just income but also expenses, and if the income and expenses do not coordinate, then the property without proven income should be confiscated. Another reasonable proposal from public position to open registries and increase transparency. The mechanism of private prosecution. This is something that has not been discussed in Ukraine, but it does work in some countries. Economic policies. No positive or innovative suggestions are demonstrated. Everybody says we should simplify taxation system, fighting monopolies, but without any specific actions in mind. And many parties suggest support of local producers. The suggestion is not connected to market methods. For example, creating more or less market economy in Ukraine. Those methods as limiting imports or export crediting of local producers, or some tax holidays, do not connect with other parts of suggestions. Maybe the progressive taxation in taxes for oligarchs, anti-monopoly policy and support of local producers, forbidding installation of land market would be announced by Batkivshina and Communist Party. Will just preserve illegal market of land, but those who work or produce at land will not be able to buy land legally. Social protection is not announced generally, but everyone is promising to improve, to give some loans to young families, or improve utility bills, but no details. Targeting social help is only in Samopomich program, but without any specifics. Next slide. Some parties offer certain reforms of military, most thought through, reform comes from public position, but nothing very specific. Entering NATO, opinions have divided. Right parties are for joining NATO, and left parties, with opposition bloc included, would be against joining NATO. Solving the problem with Donbass and with Crimea. Everybody speaks about it, but no specific suggestions to restore Donbass. How to do this? If terrorists are present, nobody knows, but who will pay for reconstruction? Through forcing Russia to pay, or oligarchs to confiscate from them, or opposition bloc says, we will compensate everyone and we'll pay everyone, but nobody knows where the sources are. Maybe state budget. The next one, please. And I was really disappointed that such topics as could be very winning for political parties have been ignored. Energy, efficiency, and environment are topics that could be favorable to get more electoral votes. Canceling a parliament immunity was ignored by most parties, and integration of people with special needs. Maybe I have not found other topics because there are many to find that were ignored, but these have touched me personally. Questions from the auditorium. Oksana Makritska. As I listened to this report, I remember the words, how scary life would be. Yes, it's very ineffective and non-creative speculation on the mood of people. Things that were mentioned before, social protection and parliament immunity, are ignored now. In your research, have you studied their declarations of party? Have you made inquiries to parties? Maybe these declarations are supported by some draft laws. Maybe they have some specific vision, and if so, could you share this information? Question number one. And second, humanities have been ignored for long times, and what result would that have for development of Ukraine? We have not addressed specific political parties. We believe the programs are official documents. The documents that are submitted to Central Election Commission are the documents that allow them to seek voters. It would be good if a political party would speak openly about initiating draft laws, because many people running are in today's parliament. It would be great improvement on specificity of their programs. There are draft laws, and it's possible that they're part of the program. Why were these draft laws not mentioned? Maybe because they're not very good. These programs are like have composition of a human body, 70 to 80% water, and only 20 to 30% of solid matter. Why are they not mentioning this? Because maybe they don't have specialists in presidential programs. The question of education was mentioned. Maybe there are limitations on number of characters, and they were just working within the required number of characters, and also they were reflecting people's desires to see. So experts have come to conclusion and have come to conclusion that this is reflection on society demand rather than offer from political parties. Education's education issues and other issues are mentioned. Even numbers of draft laws are mentioned at city lights, but many draft laws are very populistic that would not be passed. The election program of Petro Poroshenko. How much does it reflect Strategy 2020 developed and presented by the president? These are two different documents. And as we analyze the economic part of Petro Poroshenko bloc, very few things are mentioned. Our conclusion probably was supposed to be that there is strategy and this is just addition. So I believe the Strategy 2020 is part of presidential program, but it was not mentioned. How about People's Front? How much the election program of this political power reflects the priorities of current government. It's very close. If you look at the document, then this document is very adequate. You can read it, and such issues that nobody touches on energy, they are describing and mentioning, and they're trying to specify things. There is correlation, and they're talking that they're about things they try to do. How about the team that analyzed the 13 Ukrainian and international economists? Can you mention some names? I don't, I'm not sure I'll mention everyone, the two of us. Then Olena Bilan, Timofey Milovanov, Yuri Horodnichenko, Volodymyr Bilotkach, Weronika Mowczan, Dmytro Sologub. In fact, these are people that are part of our editorial team, people who work in economics or people who have certain track record that they understand some things on I don't know if you analyzed previous programs for previous elections, and do you have dynamics? If you know this information, can you give the quality of content compared to previous programs? We did try to analyze. I will not remember all details right away, but preliminary election programs were more detailed, maybe because of short time. The programs for presidential elections and for parliament elections were so brief that it would take you an hour to read them all. But previous programs had more numbers, more specificity, but now everything is very proximate. How about quality? Every day I go home and I see a big board of a political party that says will increase salaries and pensions. But then I read their program. They announced to decrease taxes. For economists, that's nonsense. Decreasing taxes and increasing salaries and pensions. That even the third-year economic student will understand that it would not work. How realistic are these programs? How much stupidity is assumed among voters? You know, this vagueness protects those who present their parties, like Leshko showed some numbers that make economists laugh, but they don't show any other numbers, so we would have nothing to complain about. Image UA, Ukraine. Question. Does European Parliament read the programs of our political parties and which ones they like most? I don't know which ones they like, but they do analyze potential situations, because every embassy reads and analyzes who read what, who wrote what, who spoke about what, and this is part of the overall analysis.
Could you please specify, speaking about taxation reform, there's provision for, I mean, if you're talking about the People Front, do they have something about taxation reform? I can't remember. Do you remember? Yeah. Yeah, there is. Perhaps not it's some specifically outlined, but the provision made for some changes in the taxation. So this is just general statements. You know, our taxation reform today, the major thesis is everybody is going to reform the taxation system, but how to do that, nobody knows. So it boils down to how to, the single social contribution. Nobody knows where to take those billions to compensate for this tax. The different versions have been voiced, but they are not really well outlined. You have to have some kind of tax cushion, 56s, while the businessmen are going to legalize their salaries and wages. They have to proceed from the schemes to prevent the deaths of pensioners. Some international experts were involved in the analysis. Speaking about some other countries, do they have some kind of similar programs? Do they have just the empty promises, or just promises for the sake of promises, into somehow to use this against their competitors? I'm not prepared to answer that questions regarding the programs of the foreign organizations. If there are no more questions, thank you very much. Thanks our experts. Our next briefings will take place